everybody. Today we are meeting with Stacy Kessler for our Creative Side Businesses for Women Summit. How are you doing, Stacy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Carrie.
Awesome. My pleasure. So, for those of you who don't know who Stacy is, I'll give you a little bit of an intro here. So, she helps women build and grow bold businesses by discovering their unique brand of genius, confidently making decisions, and eliminating the overwhelm so that they can thrive with sanity. And as a small business strategist, she specializes in helping solopreneurs make sense of all their scattered thoughts and ideas to clarify their strategy and optimize their marketing and systems in a way that makes them want to do a happy dance. I love it. I
That's
love
right.
it. That is your goal. So, welcome. I'm happy to have you. And today, Stacy's topic, I love it. It's called How to Build Your Business Around Your Sweet Spot. Awesome
Yes.
title. Awesome title. Very catchy. Very catchy. So, why don't you explain for those of you who are a little confused by this, what does it mean? What does sweet spot mean? What are you referring to?
Yeah. So your sweet spot, I believe, is the place that if you build your business around it, it's where you're going to experience the greatest happiness, success, impact, and profitability. It's essentially where you are set up to excel at. So it might help. I'll pop a little image up on the screen that kind of describes what I'm talking about. Everyone loves a good Venn diagram here. So if you imagine that your sweet spot is the intersection of your unique skills, the things you care about, and what you want and enjoy in life. And I believe that if you build a business around that, that it's going to be so aligned with who you are and what you care about in this world, what you think is important. And I truly believe that that is the key to building and growing a business that you love and that ultimately thrives with you.
So I was looking at you the whole time. I didn't even look at the image. Can you put that back up for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am totally a visual girl, and okay. So your unique skills, what you want and enjoy in life, and things you care about. Got it. Okay, we got it now. Thank you.
Yeah. And oftentimes this can be, I know we're talking a lot about building a business. This is also super helpful if you have a business already, because sometimes entrepreneurs can be missing maybe just one piece of this Venn diagram. And oftentimes that can create dissatisfaction or a feeling of being stuck. So for example, my first business, it was meaningful and fulfilling for me. Like it used my skills and it was something I cared about, but it didn't fit with my ideal lifestyle and how I enjoyed working.
Right.
And so there was always this tension I had, and it just wasn't a great fit for me. So there's a million different ways that you can build a business that serves a similar purpose. But if you don't take into account all three of these, specifically the one that a lot of women forget or skip is what you want and enjoy in life, then it's never going to feel totally aligned and good for you.
And can you give me an example of what that was? What were you combating in your life at the time? Like what was not feeling right?
Yeah, so my first business was a co-working space. So it was a brick and mortar business. I started it with a business partner, thinking that while flexibility and freedom were important to me, that having a business partner would still allow me that with a brick and mortar business. Well, nothing's guaranteed, and I had a bad business partner breakup 6 months in, and I was left to be the sole owner operator of a co-working space. I am a huge outdoorsy person. My husband and I, we go on these epic long like treks and outdoor adventures where I'm totally disconnected off the grid. And how do you do that when you run a brick and mortar business that is focused on providing community and providing space? And I'm the one to do that. And
Right.
So it just wasn't a fit. There was always this tension. And I hadn't built it in a way, it wasn't at a place where I could replicate myself and still make it profitable, where I could bring someone else in to do those things. It just wasn't possible for me at the time. And so I just always felt this disconnect between what I wanted and what I had. And I thought the vision was always going to be that I was going to use that as a platform to consult with women.
Yeah.
And doing all of the things for the business, it just took away from any time and energy, especially just emotional and mental energy, to give that to women in the way that I really wanted to serve them. And so ultimately I ended up selling that business because it was just getting in the way of what I really wanted to do and how I really wanted to live my life.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How did you fix that scenario? So that's what you had to do. Okay.
Yeah, but I
And
used what I had. So I spent 5 months doing beta testing and experimenting with what could this new business model be? Can I change my current business to get it within my sweet spot? And I realized that I couldn't, that what I wanted to create needed to be something new. And that's when I decided not to pivot and instead to sell the business and to focus on what I really wanted to do and be super intentional about it being around my sweet spot and all three of those aspects of the Venn diagram.
perfect. And I think you needed to go through that experience in order to learn, right? Otherwise, yeah, you just keep repeating the same mistake over and over. And so, how did you get from that to where you are now? I know we're going sidetracked here, but I'm curious. So, how
Yeah,
did you get
ask
that?
me anything. Yeah. So I spent that time, my co-working space was open for about 4.5 years. I always knew that I had a passion for small businesses, specifically women solopreneur, people who are building a business around their expertise and their passions. And so I just used that time to learn as much as I can from the members who were co-working with me at my space. So I would, say, hey, can I do a strategy session with you? Or can we come up with a coaching arrangement? Or, in exchange for feedback. Or towards the end, I was actually charging for like a monthly program. And every month I was changing up what was included and just testing and learning different things, seeing how could I build a business that was not only meaningful and fulfilling, but also within my sweet spot. And yeah, it was just a lot of testing and learning and getting feedback and iterating like any business at the beginning.
Yeah, so you're a tweaker. I'm a tweaker too. I'm never satisfied, and I'm constantly evolving, constantly changing it, and until I get it right, and then I change it again and keep going and keep
Exactly.
going.
Once you're like, once you feel comfortable, then you got the new idea, right? Yeah, I always say that I'm in beta mode because
Mm,
I'm a huge proponent of constantly learning and evolving. Like if we just stay stagnant, then our businesses are not going to remain relevant. We change, our ideal clients change, the world changes, and I'm really intentional about reflecting and learning and then saying, what does that mean for moving forward?
and it's got to be fun. If you're not enjoying it, if you're not enjoying yourself, and it becomes stagnant, like you're saying, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
It keeps it exciting. So I'm totally aligned with you there. Now, how can someone discover their sweet spot? What's step number one?
Yeah. So you look at this, and some people might say that this is obvious, and other people might look at this and say, gosh, I don't know what's special about me. I don't know what I really care about. I don't know what I want in life. And so sometimes we have to go down that journey of intentionally doing some self discovery in each of those three areas. So I love to start with diving into what are your unique skills. And so this is a combination of everything from your lived experience to your soft skills to your expertise. Oftentimes, this can even be something that you used to consider a limitation or a weakness, because oftentimes those things have a superpower hidden within them. So, for example, there's a comedian named Michael Jr., and he grew up with dyslexia. And a lot of people would say that that's a limitation. That's a learning disability. But instead, he learned to understand words and interpret words in a different way than the rest of us by sounding them out. He would evaluate the context around them and the words that came before and after and the pictures that were around them. And he came to look at the world from a totally different view, a totally different perspective, and all different angles. And that led him to his process for coming up with his comedic bits, because he looks at the world from like different unique perspectives and flips things on their head in a way that most other people don't realize until he says it.
Mm-hmm.
And so something that used to feel like a challenge, a limitation for him, became the very thing that makes him a successful comedian. And
Ah,
so oftentimes we forget about those things when we're evaluating our skills.
mm-hmm.
I also think that it can be difficult for us to understand what's really special about us because we live with those things every day. And so those things that are most special to us normally feel the easiest to us. That's why they make us special. And so we might often like poo-poo those things and be like, oh, like everyone can do that, or that's not special, that comes so easy to me. But oftentimes other people mirroring those things back to you is the key to helping us discover what they are. I still remember when I worked in the corporate world, my favorite boss ever took me aside during one of our one-on-one meetings and said, like, you have this gift for not only like seeing the big picture, but also like how the details support that big picture. And you can see the future vision and where things aren't going to work out. You can see problems before they ever become a problem. And so you can become incredibly thorough in thinking through things from the beginning. And most people might think you're being a pain in the ass, like, but really, you are just anticipating things that they're only going to come to learn in 3 months or a year or 10 years. And I never realized that. And once she mirrored that back to me, I was now able to see, oh my gosh, that is something that I do. I didn't realize that was a thing or that was special. And I integrate that into my business all the time. That's one of the best ways I serve my clients.
And yeah, Stacy, that's like an amazing ability that you have to be a visionary, but also see the details. It's usually one or the other, right?
Yes.
So that's incredible. That's quite a trait you have there.
Yeah, thanks. So taking time to do that, and if that's hard for you, asking other people what your skills are. Then the second one, which I think can sometimes be a little bit easier, are things that we care about, things that we want to fix in the world, our passions. And this doesn't have to be some grandiose mission like a nonprofit. It can be, it absolutely can be, but you might just care about marketing or care about serving small businesses. Like, it doesn't have to be this martyrdom, right? It can be something that you just like, and it's got to be something that's true to you, not something you think you should care about or something you used to care about or other people tell you to care about.
Right.
And where your unique skills and the things that you care about, when you can apply your unique skills to the things you care about, that's where meaningful and fulfilling work lives for you. So that's kind of becomes your mission statement, like what you do and for whom. So that's kind of like steps 1 through 3 is figuring that out. And then you add in that third one, which I said that was what most people forget, which is identifying what you want and enjoy in life. So this is, what's my ideal lifestyle? Are things like flexibility and freedom important to me? What does my schedule want to be like? How do I enjoy operating in my day-to-day life? But then also, what do I enjoy? So how do I enjoy working? What are the things that get me in flow and energize me? So if you're someone that's an introvert and talking to people totally drains you, like, let's not build a one-on-one coaching business.
That's
right?
True. That's true.
Like, you could be really good at it, but it doesn't mean it has to be the way that you make money. You can also integrate those skills in other ways if that's important to you. It was like my co-working space. Yeah, I was great at running a co-working space, but I felt like a janitor. It totally drained me. I came home and didn't want anything to do with my husband because I was like, I've been talking to people all day. I've been cleaning all day. I don't want to take care of the household. And so when you can figure out how to do the meaningful and fulfilling work in a way that fits with what you want and enjoy in life, that's where your sweet spot is.
Awesome. And yeah, you know what? I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I think I know what I want in life, but I've never written it down. Right? I've never chosen a career or chosen a job based on that. I've just kind of gone with my gut, but I've never really thought about all the stuff that goes behind it. That's really interesting. I'm going to have to take some time and go through that.
Yeah.
And
it can be super, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it can be a really eye-opening exercise to get real about this, because a lot of people who start a business will go from doing what they got paid as an employee to just being their own boss and doing the same thing.
That's true.
Because they're used to it and they don't realize that they have a choice to change how they're working. And sometimes our most difficult bosses are ourselves.
Yeah.
So how can we be a good boss to ourselves, right? Like, what would we want someone else to do for us and treat us? And what would we want our job description to be? Like, create that. Don't just create the thing that you're used to and figure out how to deal with. We want you to thrive, not just survive.
Yes. Right. And you mentioned what an introvert should not do. What about an extrovert? What would be a career that's not really aligned to an extrovert?
Probably like sitting in your home office by yourself, creating courses or products.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you're going to want to do events. You're going to want to work with people. That can be a part of your business. Like, you can have multiple aspects of your business. So I think it helps to focus a little bit at the beginning. But really thinking about how, so there's there's a couple different things that you can think about, like what energizes and engages you. And that can be anything from like the types of activities you're doing to the environment that you're in, to who you're operating with. Is it just you? Is it other people? What role are you playing? What are you interacting with? So someone who loves working with their hands and is super creative might want to build a maker business and actually create things that they sell, physical objects. But I love using my brain more than I love using my hands. I love using my hands, but like that's a hobby for me. I don't have to monetize all of my hobbies. I love using my brain to serve people and pull out of them like what's their unique brain and genius and help them connect the dots and see things. So if my entire business was like, I'm getting into weaving right now, if I just started selling my weavings, like that would be fun for maybe a month or two, and then I would get like the itch to do something else that really serves the main skills that I want to be using on a day in a day out basis.
Right. That's cool. And I'm just thinking here. So I'm in my 40s. Don't tell anybody, but I'm in my 40s. And if I think back to the type of person I was in my 30s to the type of person I was in my 20s, my sweet spot's probably different for all of them. So is that okay? Is it okay to evolve?
Yeah, absolutely. Because our life is a journey of experiences, of growing, of gaining skills, of learning new things, of things happening to us. So the things that our skills can evolve, the things that we care about can also evolve. So for example, Chris Carr, I don't know if you know who she is, but she runs like a multi-million-dollar entrepreneurial empire. And she started that after she went through her own cancer journey. And like, she didn't have a company, a wellness company before that, because that wasn't as important to her. She hadn't gone through that journey yet. So for her, she decided that like her sweet spot had changed enough that she wanted to impact the world in a different way. And so I think it can absolutely change, and we can have seasons in our life. I also think that if you do this work towards the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, your business can evolve with you instead of totally shutting down your business and doing something else. Because if you are already building it around your sweet spot, it's not going to totally 100% change overnight, and you're not going to get a new sweet spot. It's just going to be a slightly evolved sweet spot, and your business can evolve with you. Yes. And so I think those are the best businesses that are built around who we uniquely are and what's important to us. And while that will evolve, it normally doesn't change so drastically overnight that it wouldn't make sense to the people that we're serving.
Yes. And I even think about moms, right? So before I was a mom, I was in corporate, and they say, Carrie, you want to do overtime? I'm like, okay. Did you want to work weekends? I'm in, right? You have extra work. Did you want it? Okay. You're not going to be paid anymore. Is that okay? Give it to me, right? I was happy to work. And but everything changed when I had a kid. And my sweet spot, it drastically changed overnight. There's one example where it would change pretty quickly because I no longer wanted to work overtime. I no longer wanted to leave the house, right? Everything just evolved around the baby now. And
Yeah.
so what I wanted before kids and what I wanted after kids is like completely different story.
Yeah. And I do think that let me pop this back up on the screen, the top two, your unique skills and the things you care about, that overlap is where meaningful, fulfilling work lives. And that can evolve, but that probably won't change overnight. It'll more like be an evolution. The one you're mentioning is really this third circle down here, which is more so changing our business model. And so it's how you're working. And I think that is something that we could decide to change overnight. You could decide one day that you love working with clients one-on-one, and the next day say, you know what, I'm done with that. I'm going to create a course on everything that I created, and I'm going to get my external, extroverted fix in another way. And you could absolutely do that. But your work, your mission is still staying the same. And so it still can make sense to the people that you're serving. And we are continuing always to learn and evolve in how we're serving our clients and customers anyways. So those are like normal evolutions. Just sometimes it's because we see an opportunity, and sometimes it's because what we want and enjoy in life has actually totally changed, like your example.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so now we've done the work, we've gone through the exercise, we figured out our sweet spot. Now what?
Yeah. So when you're figuring out what your sweet spot is, there's kind of two ways you can look at this. One is that I know I have this big long-term vision. I want to be a worldwide known paid speaker, get paid to speak, get paid to write. I'm going to do, these high paid retreats and maybe just have a couple of exclusive clients. Like maybe that's my long-term vision, but maybe that's not where I'm at right now. Like maybe I don't know what my thing is, that my speech that's going to be on stage yet. I know I'll figure it out. But so the short-term vision could be, I'm going to just start working with clients and I'm going to start creating, maybe it's like digital products to serve people. And that's where I'm at in the short term, but knowing that my long-term vision is to go here. So what might I do now to help me get to the long term, even if I'm not getting paid for it right now? So I might be writing an article every week to start to solidify my voice and solidify my expertise and hone my writing skills and learn the things that are important to me and put a stake in the ground around things that I might speak on in the future. I might do free speaking gigs. So these are things that can help with marketing your business right now, even though in the future, maybe you want to get paid for those things. So that's something you can start by thinking about is my sweet spot I can dive in right now to what I think I want to be doing 10, 20 years from now, or is it an evolution and I'm going to start slow? So that's kind of one piece of it. The second piece is, so you figured out what meaningful, fulfilling work is to you. You figured out how you want to do that in a way that fits with your ideal lifestyle and the way that you enjoy working. And then you want to dive into more details of each of those pieces. So say, okay, so I said I want to do marketing for small businesses. What about those small businesses? What type of small businesses are they? Who are they? And diving into your ideal client, because your business is going to be built at the end of the day around serving your ideal client. So getting even more crystal clear on who that is going to help you develop those offers that are really compelling, because that's another next step, is to develop what are your offers. So, okay, you said that you want to start by coaching. Great. What are your coaching packages? What are you solving for? And what is the end result that you're promising with those coaching packages? And what will you charge? So you're basically just kind of going into the details on each of those so that you can actually put your offer out into the world and people can buy it.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm wondering, in your experience, like you just work with women only, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in your experience, do you think that men or women have a harder time finding their sweet spot, or is it pretty equal?
Ooh, really interesting question. So I can't make blanket statements about anything, but I can tell you a bit about my observations.
Okay.
Is that women desire to build businesses around their sweet spot. And I feel that we're more likely to chase after that. And once we found it, to stick with it. But women are also likely to think that they're in a position where the status quo can't change, and to maybe not be as bold as they could be in going after building a business around their sweet spot, or taking the time to discover what it is. And really taking what they deserve and making those radical, intentional choices and priorities. Men, on the other hand, I feel like while they absolutely can build really powerful businesses around their sweet spot, I find that they're a little less driven by purpose than women, not always, but I just think they're a little bit more practical a lot of times in the businesses that they grow, and they don't feel as much of a need for it to be a heart-centered purpose. Again, not all men, just making some, if I'm gonna split them apart, that's what I would say, is they're more content to not be operating in their sweet spot all the time. Women want to be, but often don't think it's possible and then don't go after it.
Interesting perspective. Okay, I wasn't sure where that was going to go, so And I hear that you've got a free gift that you're offering everybody, and you've called it Discover Your Sweet Spot Free Workbook to Set Your Business Up for Success. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I just want everyone to be able to operate in their sweet spot. And so, like we've been talking about today, the first step is discovering what your sweet spot is. So, I put together a free workbook that walks you step by step through figuring out your sweet spot and all of these three elements that we've talked about that go into that. So, if you are interested in getting that and figuring out your sweet spot, whether or not you're building a new business or you already have a business and you just want it to feel even more aligned, you can go to stacykessler.me/sweet spot. I don't know if there'll be a link to where this is posted as well, Carrie, but yeah, that's there for free for the taking.
Woohoo! Awesome. And you already know this, but we've got some VIPs in the group today. So they have paid the upgrade to become a VIP, and they get access to special bonuses. So you have a special bonus for the VIPers. You've called it Done For You, Client Intake, and Feedback Form. So what's that all about?
Yeah, so you know how we were talking a little bit about how important it is to learn and evolve. And this, I believe, is one of the keys to doing that, to creating a business that people love, that stays really relevant, and that is compelling to the people you want to serve the most. So, getting input from your ideal client and customers is key to that. So, I put together a set of 3 forms: intake forms, mid-project feedback forms, and kind of final surveys that you can send out to the people that you work with to get information that is going to not only help you set your client relationships up for success, but also to learn how to optimize your business over time. And it's also going to give you the ability to become a better marketer of your business by learning and hearing back from your clients what they loved and how they talk about what you do. So those are done for you. You'll literally get 3 forms that you can copy just for yourself, and you can start sending them out immediately to your clients.
And that's really important because I think as entrepreneurs, we think we know what our customers want and we think we've got it all figured out, but you really got to get feedback. You really have to hear from them and use their wording that they're using in the responses, right? It's so important. It's something I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, and even those, oftentimes people are a little sheepish to send out feedback surveys because they oftentimes think they're going to hear back really harsh things. But at the end of the day, if we didn't have a quote unquote perfect working relationship with someone, which is never perfect, right, those are the most important ones to learn from. And hearing those things, those honest areas that you can improve, can be the difference between you having an okay business and you having an amazing business. And it will get easier to hear that constructive feedback over time.
Yeah, absolutely. You develop a little bit of a backbone, but you do have to be open to it, and you have to take their criticism, their constructive criticism, and make change happen. And so, where do you hang out on the socials? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at I am Stacy Kessler on all of the social media platforms, but I will caveat this: being true to building my business around my sweet spot. Social media is not my main place that I market my business. So you can engage with me through my email list is the best way to stay in touch with me. I also put on frequent free events for women entrepreneurs, and you can learn all about that on my website at stacykessler.me.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate your time today. It was so nice to hear all about the sweet spot, and I hope that you gave everybody some clarity on that. And I'm happy that they have a way to reach out to you after if they want to continue to learn more. And yeah, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me, Carrie. It was great.
You too. Bye bye.